Yo, what's good? It's your boy Dot from Dot Me Now Coaching and Entertainment. For coaching, my links are down below. I have several different spiritual readings down below. I have an astral projection course down below. I have a Patreon down below. The Patreon is fire. Like, low key, I broke down the 12 planes of existence on my Patreon, along the 12 densities, and how you experience the 12 planes and how you exist on the 12 planes, like with your 5D soul, your 6D architectural spirit, your 7D eternal spirit. I broke this down on my Patreon a while ago. It's so much sauce over there. Go check it out. All my links are down below. Social medias, all that. Go check your boy out in general. Drop a like on this video because it is going to be pretty saucy and pretty informative. Subscribe if you're new. And let's get into this video. So inside this video, I'm going to break down the 12 planes and how those are different but related to the 12 densities. And I'm probably going to also cover dimensions because people confuse those also. So let's get into it, right? So what is a plane? A plane is a certain level of existence. Now, what is a density? A density is a certain level of consciousness. Now, the densities do relate to the planes. And this is due to the fact that depending on what plane you're aware of is going to determine your level of consciousness, right? So you can be aware of various different levels of reality, and this will be your density of consciousness, right? But that's still different from the actual plane. You know what I'm saying? So for example, humans are third density at a base level. Now, what does that actually mean? This means that at a base level, humans can perceive up to the third plane of existence. Now, the third plane of existence is not the physical plane. It's actually the astral plane. People always say that astral is the fourth density. That's not true. It's the third, okay? It is. You have the physical, the etheric, the astral, the mental, the causal, the buddhic, the atmic, the monadic, the logic, the brahmic, the vishnic, and the shalvic. I broke down all these, and I also broke down the alternate names too, because, like, for example, you could also say the physical, the emotional, the imaginative, the galactic, the heavenly, the architectural. Like, you could say them with different names, which I explained the different names also inside my PowerPoint that's on my Patreon. But bringing it back to test this YouTube video, right? With a human, they can perceive up to the astral plane. Now, the astral plane deals with imagery. It deals with your imagination also. What's your imagination? Your imagination is a faculty of your mind which turns which turns information into images. You technically use that every single day, even when you're not inside your own head, because right now you can see me, right? You can see my face. This is really just a whole bunch of information, but it's being perceived to you with this image of a face that it's kind of attractive. If I do this, let me stop. That was weird. Because if you're a guy, hey, no diddy. Whoa, pause. But nah, all jokes aside, right? Um, that was stupid. All jokes aside, drop a like real quick, cause I'm saucy. Come on now, I'm giving some good information. But nah, aside from that, right? As humans, at a base level, you can actually see things. So can animals. They can actually see things. Animals are 3D also. Now, a plant is 2D because plants can't see, but they can feel, because plants do have an awareness of their etheric bodies. This is how they actually make food. You know what I'm saying? They can actually sense sunlight to make the food off of that. You know what I'm saying? So they have active etheric bodies, but like they have all the other bodies too, because if you're inside the physical, you're also inside every other plane also, and you have all those other bodies too, but you may not be aware of them. Like, animals are aware of their astral body. That's what they can actually see. You know what I'm saying? While like your eyes are a faculty of your astral body. You know what I'm saying? Which is your imagination. But your imagination is partially projected outside of yourself through your eyes. You know what I'm saying? This is why your eyes, right, they could pick up information and they turn it into images. Because technically, I don't actually look like this. I'm just a bunch of light particles. And even those light particles are just information vibrating at different rates. You know what I'm saying? And then it makes this whole image. Now, what makes humans unique from animals is the fact that they can become 4D, fourth density, right? They could become aware of the mental plane, which they do through their thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So that's what a fourth density human would be. Now they still now as humans, we still live inside the physical plane, which is the first density, right? So we're not first density beings because a density refers to your consciousness, right? And we're not only aware of the 1D. A first density being would be like a rock who's only aware of its physical existence. So all it could do is just exist, right? It can't feel, it can't see, it can't think, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what that is, right? So as humans, right, at a base level, like I said, we could see stuff, right? And we could even dream. This is why we could dream. But at a base level, most dreams are just stupid nonsense, right? But if you become, you know, more aware and you start to have like higher thoughts, those higher thoughts reflect inside your dreams and inside your astral experiences. So when you become fourth density and actually become aware of your thoughts, right, you can now actually have more expanded astral experiences because you can actually fathom more information and experience the visual aspects of that information. Because the astral, right, when you astral project, all you're doing is just experiencing information as images. Like your astral body is literally your imagination. Now, once again, your imagination is just a faculty of your mind, which turns images into, which turns information into images. But that doesn't mean that your imagination is fake. Now, it can be fake if you fantasize and just make up information and then choose to see that information as images. But if you bring your imagination to like Arcturus, right? The information in Arcturus is going to be translated through your mind, right? Which is, you know, your imagination is a faculty of your mind. It's going to get filtered through that. And then you're going to have images get produced. And you're going to actually see Arcturus on some level of existence. Now, it's important to separate that from planes because you actually have like beings that live in the sixth plane. You know what I'm saying? You have beings that live in the fourth plane, right? Just because you are a 4D being, right? That just means being a 4D being just means that you're aware of up to the mental plane. But there's also beings that literally live in the fourth plane. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? There's beings that live like if you live in the fourth plane, you essentially exist as a thought. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to ETs, most ETs live in the second plane minimum with etheric bodies. You know what I'm saying? Now they can live inside the 1D physical too. Like there's aliens in the physical plane right now, but they could also live in the etheric plane. Now most ETs are fourth density minimum. You know what I'm saying? So they have an awareness of the fourth plane minimum, but they tend to exist either inside the etheric plane or inside the astral plane. You know what I'm saying? They don't always literally live inside the fourth plane like as a mental being. You know what I'm saying? They don't always exist inside the fifth plane, but they can if they want to. Like there are ETs that choose to live in the fifth plane. You know what I'm saying? But most ETs actually live in the etheric or the astral plane. You know. That's why they have etheric and astral bodies. If they lived inside the fifth plane, because people be saying that aliens are 5D, which is true. A lot of them have hit fifth density consciousness, but they don't live in the 5D. If they did, they would simply exist as a soul. Now, your soul is an individualized focal point of awareness. So you would just be like you wouldn't even have a actual form. You're just a point of awareness. You're just a fucking like this is what the fuck you be. You're just this shit right here. You know what I'm saying? You're just this, right? And at that point, you wouldn't even really be like an ET because like you have no form. Like what makes the ET an ET? Where they live and what they look like. Like an Arcturian lives in Arcturus and looks like an Arcturian. if you can't see what they look like, you don't know what the fuck this is. You could say that this is a consciousness from Arcturus, but you can't even, like, it's not the same as actually seeing an Arcturian alien. So that's why densities and planes are different, and they should be seen as different and acknowledged as different things, because there actually are beings that live inside the fifth plane. You know what I'm saying? But there's also some beings that simply have a 5D awareness, and they're aware of the fifth plane, but don't actually live inside the fifth plane. Now, these are different from dimensions. See, a dimension is a measurable extent of some kind, right? So it's something you can actually measure. For example, length, width, height, time, space, light, sound, gravity. These are all dimensions. How? Length. How do you measure length? By how long something is. How do you measure width? By how wide something is. How do you measure height? By how tall something is. How do you measure time? By the speed and the duration of it. How do you measure space? By the area of the space that you actually have. How do you measure light? By luminosity. How do you measure sound? You measure it by the pitch. You know what I'm saying? How do you measure gravity? By how much force is actually exerting. How do you measure intelligence? By how much somebody knows. How do you measure willpower? How much somebody can actually act. How do you measure awareness? By how conscious somebody is. These are all dimensions. I just explained how you can actually measure these. You know what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, dimensions make planes. Like, planes are made out of different dimensions. Like, for example, we live in a third. We live. I was gonna say we live in a 3-dimensional plane, but that's not fully. Science recognizes that our plane has 3 dimensions: length, width, and height. Now, there's also time, space, light. These are things also, right? But scientists mainly notice as 3, which is why they say we live in a 3rd dimension, right? Like, when people say we live in a 3D, they usually mean 3rd dimension, but that's not literally, like, we don't literally live inside of height. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't live in height, but we live in a plane, right? That could be seen to have 3 dimensions: length, width, and height. And scientists also recognize time as a dimension now. Also, you know what I'm saying? They usually call it space time. Like, they usually unify space and time as 1 dimension. But yeah, my fault. My throat be getting dry. But yeah, so long story short, dimensions, right? These are things which you can measure. They're not actual places. Now, you do have dimensional spaces. You have certain spaces where dimensions are tuned differently. And stars are the physical version of that, which is why every star system is different. And the star of the solar system is what actually dictates how certain planets will manifest and what the gravity is going to be like, what the light's going to be like. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, for example, in Vega, the beings there are blue, because the star controls the dimension of light there, and because it controls the light there, the beings there are blue. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, these are what this is the difference between a plane, a density, and a dimension, which I explained this on my Patreon. I literally have a whole PowerPoint that just breaks down different terms. You know what I'm saying? Literally, like, if you go to my Patreon, right, there's a certain post, and on that post it recommends, it's literally pinned, so you can't miss it. It recommends watching these 4 videos, and if you watch all 4 videos, which are like all different PowerPoints essentially, one of them's like a document, but the other 3 are PowerPoints. If you watch all those, you're gonna understand this omniverse, right? You're gonna understand what the different planes are, what the different densities are, how you experience them, what an arcverse is, what harmonics are, what perfect fourths are. All this, you're gonna understand all of it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I love you. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new, comment, all that. And catch my next video. I love you. Peace the freak out.